14 persons are currently in severe condition, while 4 are in critical condition and on ventilators.
These are the regional distribution. Total number of trade did not report any new cases.
You heard the latest update on the COVID-19 cases. Let's move on to Parliament, where the Parliament's Special Budget Committee has directed the Ministry of Finance to immediately make the 3.1 million Ghana cedis outstanding budgetary allocation to the Electoral Commission available to procure biometric verification equipment for the December polls. The directive was given after a recent meeting between the committee and the EC on the EC's preparedness towards elections 2020.
December, the Finance Ministry had not given them and had insisted that we should ring-fence the 329 million to be given to the Electoral Commission because, in his opinion, and the committee agreed, the allocated amount could not suffice the enterprise that they were charged to do for 2020. So the position of the committee was that the Finance Committee should release the 329 million, which had not been released, for the procurement of the equipment in 2019 to the Commission. The Commission came to inform us that the Finance Minister had not, as of yet, given the money to the Commission. And the position of the committee is that the Finance Ministry should release that amount to them. Indeed, this year, even though on paper about 701 million has been released to the Commission for the performance of their functions, only 400 million release immediately. Let them have the outstanding 300 million if we want them to commit and indeed be able to pursue this enterprise and have a very credible elections. Those amounts should be released to the Commission as early as possible. And we insisted that the 329 million should as well be given to them.
Well, still in Parliament, but away from the elections, we move on to a development a few days ago. Now, a few days ago, news broke out of a missing package of cocaine in the custody of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at Aflao in the Volta region. The Minority Caucus in Parliament is therefore calling for an independent committee of inquiry to probe the alleged missing 100.1 grams of cocaine.
The Narcotics Control Commission is simply saying that a vehicle was impounded and cocaine seized from the vehicle with an amount of $200,000. 2 days after the seizure of the cocaine and the cash, when inventory was taken, once again to establish the existence of the exhibits that had been handed over to the customs couldn't account for all the exhibits, including the whitish substances suspected to be cocaine.
As well as the cash. As well as the cash.
So that is all we know. But that is a very serious matter. In response to the lamentations of the Director General of NACOC in relation to the missing cocaine, the minority calls for the immediate setting up of an independent committee of inquiry to establish, amongst others, the circumstances in which the cocaine impounded by NACOC and entrusted in the custody of the Customs Division of the GRA disappeared. Right now, the issue we are confronted with has to do with a brawl between two security agencies. That for me is even more serious, because it simply means that these security agencies at our borders don't collaborate. But if they are not collaborating,
it's a danger.
It's a danger. It's a danger that we should all be worried about, because they are supposed to be collaborating to ensure that information is shared on real-time basis so that we're able to protect ourselves and guarantee our security. I'll just give you an example. 9/11 in the US happened not because the security agencies in America didn't have the intelligence. They had the intelligence, all right. But 9/11 happened simply because they couldn't collaborate. We don't want a repetition of that in our country.
And away from the capital, authorities at the Navrongo prisons in the Katsina Nankana municipality of the Upper East region say strict compliance of COVID-19 protocols by inmates is a major problem due to the inadequate personal protective equipment as well as congestion.
The Navrongo prison was built in 1925 by the Swiss to hold 80 inmates for only second and first degree felony offenders, but now houses 210 inmates sentenced for various offenses. In the wake of COVID-19, government has suspended all visits to the prisons and made the wearing of nose masks mandatory as a measure to prevent the spread of the disease. Speaking with GBC News during a donation of PPE by the Perfecter of Sentiments POS Foundation to fight against COVID-19 in the prison, the Deputy Commander of the Navrongo Central Prisons, Chief Superintendent Francis Yawo Ajaglo, said compliance and adherence to the wearing of nose masks and social distancing in the prison is virtually impossible because they have inadequate PPE. Chief Superintendent Azaglo also appealed to the government to decongest the prison and increase the feeding fee, which is still 1 Ghana cedis 80 pesos. He says this is unable to feed the prisoners with a balanced diet to boost their immunity against COVID-19. The Executive Director of the POS Foundation, a human rights NGO, and facilitators of the Justice for All program, Mr. Jonathan Osewusu, who presented the PPE to the prison, asked government to grant amnesty to petty offenders and non-violent drug users to decongest the prison. The POS Foundation is asking the government to fast-track the passage of the Community Service Bill to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in the prisons.
From the Upper East region, we take you to the Volta region, and the region's confirmed COVID-19 infections has risen to 278. This means the Health Directorate's 120 bed capacity treatment and isolation centers are being stretched to capacity. The Directorate has therefore empowered all municipal and district assemblies to identify and make more space available as contingency measures to prevent and manage cases in the region. The Deputy Director of Public Health for the Volta Regional Health Directorate, Dr. Kwesi Jokoto, gave details to GBC News at Ho, the Volta Regional Capital.
The Volta region has recorded a total of 278 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Out of the 18 municipal and district assemblies in the region, 3 have not recorded any cases of coronavirus. The 3 are North Dai, Akachi North and Afajatu South. The regional capital, Ho, has the highest number of cases with 99, followed by Ketu South with 45 cases. Anglonga and Kita have 24 and 12 cases respectively, whilst other districts and municipalities have single-digit confirmed cases. The Volta Regional Health Directorate says with over 2,000 contacts being traced, a considerable number have tested positive to the pandemic. This has stretched the about 120 bed capacity treatment and isolation centers across the region to their limits. The Deputy Director of Public Health for the Volta Regional Health Directorate, Dr. Kwesi Jokoto, attributed the increase to the non-adherence to the safety protocols by the people of the region and especially within the whole municipality.
The responsibility is first of all for all of us to make sure that we take our public or our personal health, our personal safety seriously. When we all adhere to some of these measures that we are talking about, ensure that you wash your hands with running water and soap as frequently as you can. If that is unavailable, you can use your hand sanitizer with alcoholic content of 60%. Ensure you have social distancing wherever you are. And keep your nose mask on when you are stepping out of your house. All these measures should be able to break the transmission of COVID-19 everywhere, including the Volta region.
He says the region urgently needs more space to manage confirmed cases.
Together with the Regional Coordinating Council, have also identified isolation centers, which we are currently using to also host some of the cases. We are also working with all the districts to empower them, to strengthen them, to be able to get more spaces available should the number of cases increase in the Volta region.
Recalcitrant people who refuse to wear masks to public places and are subsequently arrested, especially within their home municipality, now pay a spot fine of 20 cedis, hopefully to reverse the situation and help reduce the risk of spread.
We'll now take you over to the Ashanti region for some developments. In the Kumasi Central Prisons has allayed fears about an incident of the coronavirus in the prison. The Public Relations Officer, DSP Richard Bukari, said there has been some misrepresentation in the public domain. He explained that even though a prison inmate has tested positive for the disease, it occurred at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital while the said inmate was on admission for a different medical condition.
The PRO for the Kumasi Central Prison says the prison strictly observes all the preventive protocols to avoid the spread of the disease in the prison. DSP Richard Bukari told GBC News that due to the congestion and poor ventilation in the prison, all officers and prisoners do the best they can to adhere to the announced safety measures. He complained about the woefully inadequate daily feeding fee of 1 cedi 80 pesos per inmate, which cannot provide for a balanced meal needed to boost immunity to fight the disease. DSP Richard Bukari said personnel are strictly ensuring that no one imports COVID-19 into the prison yard. Likewise, all inmates coming into the yard are tested before granted admission. He said the situation has been misreported to the public.
The situation is not as is being spread out there. We've only had a single case, but fortunately, even for us, the case didn't happen in the Kumasi Central Prisons. Our suspicion, as confirmed by that of the health authorities, is that the inmate had it at the hospital, but he was not sent to the hospital on suspicion of COVID. He was sent there for a different medical issue. So there's no outbreak of COVID in Kumasi Central Prisons.
We're staying within the region, and the Ashanti region is to expand its COVID-19 treatment facilities from 38 to 138. Currently, all treatment centers are full, thus making containment of the rising COVID infection cases challenging. This was disclosed by the Ashanti Regional Director of Health, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran, at a media briefing in Kumasi.
The Ashanti region currently has recorded over 2,400 COVID-19 infection cases, making it the second region with the highest infection rate. Previously, the Obuasi municipality recorded the highest number of the infections, but it is doing well now, while the Kumasi metropolis has taken over, having increasing figures by the days. However, 6 out of the 43 districts in the region have not recorded any case yet. There were 38 COVID-related deaths and 778 recoveries. The Ashanti Regional Director of Health, Dr. Emmanuel Tinkran, explained that most of the cases now do not show the common signs of cold and coughing, but rather malaria or fever symptoms, while most cases referred to the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital are delayed cases that were from private health facilities. Dr. Tinkran also disclosed that almost all the treatment centers in the region are now full, thus the need for expansion.
We've decided that we are going to expand Kumasi South from existing 20 beds to 41 beds. As at now, we've been given another ward. Work is rapidly ongoing to make sure that we expand it. We've also secured 7 beds at Central Hospital to support our treatment facilities. And we are also negotiating with one of our senior doctors who has decided to give us his hospital to be used as a treatment center. When that one is finally done, we hope that we can add about 100 beds to the treatment centers that we have to make sure that it will be up to about 38 beds. Because the numbers that we have here and the number of cases that we are getting, it's said that we cannot contain it.
Dr. Tinkran noted that while there is the need to build the capacity of medical personnel of the private facilities, the level of adherence to the anti-COVID protocols and guidelines also needs to be revved up.
Any attention from COVID, moving on to technology. The Minister for Communications, Mrs. Esla Owusu-Ekufo, has handed over an ICT laboratory to the new Century Career Training Institute at Dansoman in the Blakema West Municipality of the Greater Accra region. Equipped by the Ghana Investment Fund for Electronic Communication, GIFEC, the facility is expected to facilitate ICT education in the school in a
The mission to benefit from the project is the New Century Career Training Institute. The manager of the institute, Mrs. Rita Jennings, said the addition of 15 computers with a printer and a projector will add to the 20 computers given to the school by GIFEC some 10 years ago. The Director of Operations at GIFEC, Alhaji Yaya Zakaria Osman, said GIFEC is introducing a cyber laboratory program where it has equipped over 600 ICT laboratories and trained over 1,000 teachers and school children across the country in the last 3 years. Minister for Communications, Mrs. Esla Owusu-Ekufo, said the use of ICT to improve on teaching and learning is an important tool in vocational and technical education.
Providing our people with the tools and the necessary training to enable them utilize technology to live their lives is not just a luxury, but it's a necessity. We also have the youth encountering violent extremism using ICT project, which has trained 600 youth to move them away from a life of crime to a productive life using technology. 81,500 artisans, mechanics, hairdressers, market women, etc. have also received training, which has enabled them to utilize technology to improve upon the work that they are doing.
She advised the students to observe the safety protocols when they use the ICT laboratory to avoid spreading COVID-19.
Outside the capital, authorities in the Upper Dinchra East Municipality say schools are ready to reopen for final year students of senior and junior high schools.
The Upper Dinchra Municipal Director of Education, Mr. Kwashi Yabua, told GBC News that they are to take delivery of motorbikes from government to ensure effective monitoring in the municipality. He said the Member of Parliament for the area, Nana Amwako, has already provided circuit supervisors in the municipality with motorbikes. He said all schools in the municipality will receive PPE.
We are going to provide every school with a health person. Please, doctor, nurse, don't be afraid. It's your health. The Health Directorate, we are working with them seriously and religiously. So come, which you do here, they don't need to stay in the house. Come and learn. The Form 3 in the senior high schools, you know you are almost at the tail end of your studies. Go and brush up. Go and brush up. We want you to get 8 A1s. I know you can do it in Upper Dinchra East.
Mr. Kwashi Yabua asked parents to cooperate with the government to ensure that the students adhere to all safety protocols. The Upper Dinchra East Municipal Director of Health, Mr. Paul Boateng, advised all to adhere to the safety protocols to contain the spread of the virus.
Meanwhile, the Bible Society of Ghana, a non-denominational Christian organization, has presented some Bibles, PPE, and food to the Kumasi Central prisons. The team appealed to the prisons authorities to do the best they can to prevent an outbreak of COVID-19.
The team to the prisons was led by the chairman of the Ashanti Regional Oversight Committee of the Bible Society of Ghana, Reverend Dr. Boachi Yadom. Their donation worth 30,000 Ghana cedis included bags of rice, beans, gari, gallons of cooking oil, nose masks, Bibles, Veronica buckets, sanitizers, liquid soap, beans, tissues and gloves. Reverend Dr. Boachi Yadom commended the Ghana Prison Service for the preemptive protocols to protect inmates and encouraged the public to also support the country's prisons to contain the spread of the COVID-19. The Public Relations Officer at the Kumasi Central Prisons, DSP Richard Bukari, was grateful to the donors. The Bible Society supports the pastoral work of comfort in the prisons and correctional centers.
You're watching News Hour live here on GBC News. We'll take a break. When we return, Dorothy Ajiman will join us with what's happening in the world of business. Don't go away.
The world. Current reports indicate that global fashion sales have fallen by 30% due to the pandemic. Although seen as a non-essential sector, the fashion sector has been hit hard with increasing job losses by the day. However, this has not deterred Benjamin Kunto and Deborah Edu from finding ways through the storm.
The coronavirus has plunged the 2.5 trillion global fashion industry into crisis, with a significant number of firms expected to go bust in the next 18 months, putting millions of jobs at risk. China, where the pandemic started, accounts for 32% of all clothing exported worldwide, according to the World Trade Organization data. This makes it the world's largest clothing producer. The country also produces most raw materials that factories depend on to put their clothes together. However, lockdowns disrupted the supply of raw materials to fashion suppliers around the world,